Mitsubishi says that plug-in hybrid vehicles are the perfect fit for Australians, both in town and in the outback, thanks to their real-world fuel economy and all-round versatility. But to find out for ourselves, we're going to attempt to take this Outlander plug-in hybrid from here at the Nullarbor Roadhouse all the way back to Adelaide on a full tank of fuel and a single charge. Just quietly, I feel like this could be a little bit tight. Our journey will take us almost 1,100 kilometres from South Australia's last outpost before the WA border, all the way back to Mitsubishi Australia's head office in central Adelaide. The Japanese brand claims that the Outlander plug-in hybrid's 56-litre fuel tank and 20 kilowatt-hour battery pack are good for a combined 1,000 kilometres of range. The fuel tank provides juice for a 2.4-litre four-cylinder petrol engine hooked up to a single-speed transaxle, whereas the battery sustains a pair of electric motors, one on each axle. The system delivers a combined 185 kilowatts and 450 newton meters, making the electrified Outlander one of the mid-size SUV class leaders in terms of both power and torque, but it's not really relevant in this situation. What is relevant is the claimed ADR fuel consumption of just 1.5 litres per 100. But the real world mileage? We're about to find out. Now, one of the cool things about Mitsubishi's plug-in hybrids is the sheer number of powertrain configurations offered across the lineup, irrespective of the trim level. In the case of the Outlander, seen here in mid-range Aspire guys, you've got the option of hybrid, electric, battery save and battery charge, all of which simply divide up how the powertrain uses its fuels. Now, this is also before you get to the 7 normal or traditional drive modes on offer. In this case, eco, normal, sport and what have you. Hybrid mode is the default setting, but it leans on the battery and electric motors a lot more than a traditional hybrid would, and so we'll be flicking between modes manually, saving EV power for towns and roadworks and the petrol engine for the higher speed legs. As for the drive modes, it'll be eco pretty much the whole way unless conditions call for something else. So what's the point of a plug-in hybrid system? Well, it's all about trying to blend the best elements of internal combustion with the best elements of battery electric powertrains and putting them into one do-it-all, easy-to-use package for consumers to pick and choose between fuel types as they see necessary. Now, this is particularly relevant these days because statistics have shown the average Australian commute is a 40-kilometre round trip or less. Now, 40 kilometres is something that the average plug-in hybrid can do on a full charge quite happily. So, particularly in the case of the Outlander, if you were to plug in your car every day or every night when you get back from work, there's realistically no real need for you to put fuel in it during the week. Come the weekend or school holidays, however, where bigger distances are typically covered, you still have a petrol engine and a decent sized fuel tank to help get you from A to B. And once you get to your destination, you can go back to recharging your vehicle and return to pottering around emissions-free, meaning both fuel types and technologies are being deployed where they're most efficient, which in this case are the electricity around town and the petrol on the open road. And that's why we're flicking between powertrain modes on our trip across the desert, saving the battery for around town and roadworks and the petrol engine for the higher speed highway work. Good morning everybody, you join us at the start of day 2 of our Trans-South Australia voyage, and we have to be honest, day 1 wasn't much of a success. It all started at the Nullarbor Roadhouse, where the 3-phase charger wouldn't charge our vehicle to the maximum despite indicating otherwise, before being met by a savage headwind right from the off. As a result, the indicated consumption figures make for some pretty bleak reading this morning. According to the trip computer, we've used a quarter of a tank at an average of 9 litres per 100 k's, with an indicated 443 kilometres left, including the battery power. The big problem is that it is still 800 k's back to Adelaide. Alrighty, sit rep. There is 460 k's left to Adelaide. We've done 607 kilometres since the Nullarbor Roadhouse at an average of 8.4 litres per 100. The trip computer is telling us that we have 236 kilometres left of fuel left, which translates to a quarter of a tank and roughly half a battery. Now, full disclosure, we have been making the most of any four-wheel drives, caravans and trucks we've come across, nipping in behind them and using them as a windbreak to try and rekindle some of the range we lost both in the headwinds yesterday and from the Nullarbor Roadhouse's charger not working properly. We actually set off with around 70 to 75% charge. It simply wouldn't go any higher than that.
Over the next couple of 100 Ks, we had nothing but smooth sailing, and the margin between our distance to destination and distance to empty continued to shrink, but it wasn't shrinking fast enough, and the Outlander eventually ran out of juice a bit over 120 Ks from our destination. Perched silently and stationary on the side of the Augusta Highway, we'd managed to cover 936 kilometres on a full tank of fuel and a bit over 2/3 of a charge. According to the trip computer, the Outlander averaged a combined 7.6 litres per 100 Ks on our journey, which is clearly a long way short of its claimed figure, but there's little doubt that 1,000 kilometres is entirely doable with a full charge, a full tank and more favourable weather conditions.
So there we have it, mission almost accomplished. Sure, we didn't quite make it back to Adelaide, but then again, we were kind of up against it from the start with a dodgy charger at the Nullarbor Roadhouse and that savage headwind that saw litres at a time added to our average fuel consumption on the first leg. But at the end of the day, the trip was ultimately still a success because we managed to prove that plug-in hybrids can work both in town as well as the outback. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our channel if you like this content, and be sure to let us know, would you buy a plug-in hybrid in Australia?